Welcome. I am Dr. Patrice Berry, licensed clinical psychologist, and here I share legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. This is a very horrific, a very tragic case. And so, if you need to head out at any point, please, I totally understand. At the end of this video, I'm going to be including resources that a woman who has, I think she has social media dedicated to people escaping from covert, no, escaping from, and I had the word in my brain. Y'all, me and my brain. But for people escaping DV, she has a ton of resources. And so I'm going to share that at the very end. I'm also going to share a video where Dr. Ramani talks about malignant narcissists. And let's start with an overview of this case. So, this is the case of Ali Abulaban, and he had almost a million followers on TikTok. And he was known for doing the impersonations of violent characters. One of his famous is like I think like Al Pacino. I did not follow him. I heard about this case when it happened, and so I did not know. I did not follow him. I did not know who he was. His wife, who he is charged with unaliving, along with her friend Rayburn, Barron, within 3 seconds, that's the allegation, within 3 seconds, he came into their apartment and, he aimed at Rayburn first and then his wife. They were estranged at the time, and I've heard reports that she had a restraining order on him at the time, and he had actually put a recording device on his five-year-old's iPad. I will say that again. He put a recording device on his five-year-old's iPad, and that's how he knew that there was a man at the apartment. Everyone has said, Anna's friends, everyone has said that Rayburn was just a friend, that Anna was not in any type of relationship with him or anything, and the two were separated at the time. And there are allegations that before this event that there had been escalating DV between um, initiated by him towards Anna. So, and this is out of California, and he's charged with the October 21st of 2022 with the deaths of 28-year-old Anna, his wife, estranged wife at the time, and 29-year-old Rayburn in a high rise apartment complex. Abulaban is charged with 2 counts of first degree capital M, allegations of using in the commission of the event. I have to avoid certain words. It's a YouTube thing. He has pled not guilty to this despite immediately after there is audio of him calling his mom and saying exactly what he did and asking his mom to forgive him. He also called 911, and what he said to 911 was he walked in and they were deceased, but and there is audio of the shots from the hall, like you can hear what happened. And that's how they have that time frame of it being about 3 seconds. That he walked in and immediately that is what he did. There are also allegations that he was kicked out of the military. I tried before recording this, I tried to find any report of that. Was there any public record or anything like that? That is what a family friend is going to allege. They're going to allege that he was kicked out of the military for some reason. They moved from Virginia to California to pursue because they both had very large social media followings. There are allegations that the harm with him began way before he started social media. So it wasn't that he started social media and then he started engaging in this behavior. He was already engaging in this type of behavior before. And so, is there somebody? Pickle Me Elmo, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello to the chat. Thank y'all so much for watching. I don't think he has a good enough lawyer, which is good. Like I'm really hoping for justice for Anna. She deserves justice for her and for her family. Sarah, no worries. Welcome, welcome. And so we are just doing the case overview. One of Anna's friends told police that she had planned on getting a restraining order. So that's I've heard another report that she had the restraining order. So, but this report says that she had planned to get one and that he had secretly made a copy of the apartment key. And that's how he gained access to it. And that he had vandalized the unit while she wasn't there. And he had installed an app, like a spy app, on his daughter's iPad that allowed him to monitor live audio inside of the apartment. While listening to the app, he overheard his wife and a man giggling despite the fact that he had been with somebody else and that individual is going to testify to them using substances together. Because when I was asked to cover this case, somebody asked about the role that nose powder. So I don't know that if I can say the word here. He was on substances that the role that might have played. In my opinion, just from watching this, it seems even sober. It seems like he is extremely controlling. He is very much all about himself and his appearances. And somebody did testify that he had a high level of that no white nose powder that starts with a C, that he had that in his system. He had money, but he is extremely possessive. And I personally think he thought if he couldn't have Anna, that nobody could have her. He did an interview, and I don't know who agreed for him to do this interview. It is a mess. Okay, so we will go on ahead and play the interview. I apologize for the audio, okay? The audio on this video is horrific. And so I am going to pause it at times. I will wait a second when I pause it, but the audio on this is really bad. So let me go on ahead and share this tab. Anna was absolutely beautiful. And I think he was just really, really jealous and did not want anyone else to have her. And he did not take accountability for what he did. And so this is the one of the childhood friend. I'm gonna skip to the one of his interview. His interview, like all the trigger warnings, it's a mess. Let's get into it.
Did you kill her?
He's referring to the deaths of his estranged wife Anna Abulaban and her friend Rayburn Barrett. They were shot dead October 21st in an East Village high-rise. Prosecutors say just days prior, Anna kicked Ali out of their home. So he installed a listening device on their daughter's iPad and used it to spy on his wife.
Yeah, I was listening on the house with the iPad through my phone.
So when you heard Rayburn's voice, you went
I
to.
didn't recognize him. I didn't know who it was.
But what were you thinking?
I was freaking out. Oh my God, I caught her.
His emotions are going to shift but in a controlling way, not in a erratic way, in my opinion.
Oh my God, oh my God. There's a man. And then guess what? I hear nightmare. R&B music.
So he lost it because he heard R&B music. And so they were probably just hanging out, listening to music, and he completely lost it. And uh, I'm gonna keep playing it.
As you're driving to the apartment, what happens when you get to the apartment?
So he said he goes up and he sees them. And in my opinion, they are well, and also the evidence shows they were still alive at that point.
What did you think? What did you think?
Nothing. I didn't see the. I don't know. It was a blur. And I felt like I was on the passenger seat of my own body. When I opened the door and saw who it was, broke my heart. And to see her kissing Ray on my couch with his feet on my table.
To see her kissing Ray with his feet on my table, and I do not believe that they were kissing. I do not believe that's what he walked in and saw. They were probably sitting on the couch just talking. I personally do not believe that she was kissing him or that they were kissing.
With my belief. I'm running my apartment, my life, in the house that my daughter sleeps
My wife, my apartment, my house that it's gonna get worse.
in on the furniture that I put together. What do you expect a man to feel?
What do you expect a man to feel? At this point, so she is not his property. She does not belong to him. She was choosing to leave. So, no, the child was at school. He did leave and go and pick up the child from school, and he told the child that he hurt mommy when he picked her up from school. And he still had the loaded weapon with him. And he said that he was driving the child to a family member's house, like that an hour away to drop her off. But there we I'm glad he was stopped and he was arrested. And his 5-year-old saw her father being arrested after being picked up early from school and he told her that he hurt mommy. I do not believe she was not called in for this case. They had enough evidence with everything. She was kept totally out of this case. The prosecution rested. He is supposed to testify next week. He did y'all? He is going to testify next week. So he's pled not guilty. And I don't know, the defense tried to get the charge knocked down to manslaughter or to something else, but to me, with him putting the recording device on, him hearing the voice, driving all the way over there, all of those things, and it's my understanding that he had made some threatening remarks to her in the past, and he if he's not getting his way, that is when his emotion gets really big, but then it'll come down really fast. His emotions shift in and out very, very fast. Very, very fast. His emotions will shift. But it's all based on I think he's trying to portray a grieving husband, but that is not what's coming off at all. I think he's playing the role of like a concerned I think he thought that this would have make people have sympathy for him. This is scary. My heart breaks for Anna, what she experienced. It's and I am gonna play an interview with one of her best friends where and it's my understanding that the family gave her permission to speak out. It's not gonna be hard to bait him into anything. But it'll be interesting to see what he admits in his testimony. I do not believe that they played this interview. I think they did play the audio of him confessing to his mom. I do not believe they played this interview. I'm not sure. This trial was not televised. I have or it wasn't streamed. I have news clips from different parts of it, but I do not believe it was live streamed. There is a lot of like psychopathy, a lot of antisocial, all about him and his way. But to me, it's about that control. So they were not divorced yet. They had just separated. So she was trying to leave him, and they did share a daughter. So she had kicked him out of the apartment, and it was within days of her asking him to leave the apartment. This is what he did. That's let's keep going. And I think he thinks he's a comedian, because that seemed like a that almost seemed like a joke, but this is not a joking matter. Because yes, if your partner decides to leave you and move on with somebody else, that's the end of your marriage, and you do move on just like that. You don't do this. That is not what you do.
Prosecutors say Ali confessed to both police and his mother that he killed his wife and Rayburn and accused his wife of cheating. Though at this time, prosecutors say Rayburn was just a friend.
I never admitted anything. Police say they have evidence against me. I don't know what that is.
So the prosecution
I believe this interview is from years ago. How many years ago? This interview is from 2 years ago. The trial is happening now. It's my understanding the prosecution rested on Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. Rested last week, and then the defense is starting on Monday. And they've already said that he is going to testify.
says that you admitted to your mother that you did this, and then you pled not guilty. Can you explain that?
No, I can't.
Shortly
Whew, that is just that is very, very strange. I do want to play. This is Ali's cousin is going to talk to the news as well. And so here is this part.
Ali Abulaban was very controlling of his wife Anna, his cousin said.
He just became super jealous because his wife was going out with friends and he wasn't involved.
Abulaban is charged with double murder in the deaths of his estranged wife, Anna Abulaban, and another man. A relative of Abulaban told San Diego TV station KFMB that he was in denial their marriage was crumbling.
He thought they were going to get back together.
The couple had a daughter together.
I can't even smile right now because I just think like this girl, is losing both parents, and that's very sad.
The suspect is known on TikTok by the username Jin Kid with nearly 1 million followers. He pleaded not guilty to the charges and could face the death penalty if convicted.
She had asked him to.
To me, his crying is for himself. And I think possibly for losing his wife, but in like losing his possession kind of way, not the relationship. And none of this does he talk about his daughter. Does he talk about taking his daughter's mother? Like I don't think that even crossed his mind. I think the fact that he couldn't have his family, that just, and I do think, in my personal opinion, he should be held legally responsible for this, because this is just sadistic and wrong.
Leave on October 18th. Unbeknownst to Miss Abulaban, the defendant made a copy of the apartment key.
I'm Lee Sheps for Inside Edition Digital.
Right. So that was the cousin talking about him being controlling. I did also want to share, because I think I really want to talk about Anna. Anna, because and not have her story lost in this, because I think when he takes the stand, I think he's going to try to smear her name. I think he's going to try to make himself look like the victim, and he's very much going to try to Darvo this situation, deny, and that he's going to try to make himself the victim in this. And so I did want to play this part where her childhood friend talks about their relationship and just the type of person she was. And that control and isolation is really typical of somebody with malignant narcissist type traits. And there are different types of narcissism. Narcissism is a bit of a spectrum. I am not diagnosing him. I cannot diagnose him. A lot of the signs and traits that I'm hearing remind me of narcissists and of narcissism. And often people in Hollywood, on social media, it takes a level of like self-esteem, like a little healthy level of narcissism to put yourself out there. But some people go to that extreme end. And to me, his control and his manipulation, gaslighting, coercion, coercive control. That's the video. That was the word I was looking for about 30 minutes ago. Coercive control. There seems to be very clear evidence of this. And I think she was starting to get more popular than him. And I think he thought that a breakup, because it's like, how can you leave me? Because we are going to watch a video where a woman testifies. So he's upset about her allegedly cheating, but he was with a woman the day after Anna kicked him out, and he was intimate with somebody else. And he pulled up his TikTok and was showing the person like how famous he was, which is a major red flag. Major red flag. I think he like idolized gangsters, and I think he idolized that type of life. That might have been why he was drawn to the military, but then maybe he couldn't comply with the expectations and the boundaries that the military sets up, because for some reason he ended up getting kicked out of the military. But he doesn't seem like somebody that would respond well to being told what to do. And in the military, it's supposed to be about the mission of the United States. Like it's supposed to be it's not about you. It's about the group, it's about your troop, it's about don't leave anybody behind, it's about everyone. It's not about the individual. And I wonder if that was difficult for him. California, and it's my understanding that he could possibly face the death penalty. Not sure if he is found guilty, not sure what will happen in this case. And the charges. So the place where I saw that was back from 2022. He is charged with first degree murder. Oh, it's just very, very horrific and sad. Uh, okay. Major trigger warning for this one. These are going to be the audio tapes. Let me know if it says my browser's lost connection. Let me stop sharing and share again. It says that the audio was lost on the share. So let me try sharing this again. All right. She was extremely beautiful. Anna was absolutely beautiful. And I wonder if she was with him, that probably made him feel good, but she would have moved on. She would have definitely moved on, and I think she could have had a happy, healthy life. She probably would have been better without him, and they would have had to find a way to co-parent. I do not know. I'm guessing she's probably with safe family. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not sure if she's with the mom's family. I'm sure the mom's family, with the charges that he has and everything, if if this was my child and my grandchild, I would actively fight for my child. But I don't know where she is. And that's kind of because sometimes in these stories we want to know that information. I truly hope that she's protected in all of this because now she's probably about 7 years old and she has lost her mother and her father is most likely going to prison, likely for the rest of his life, I'm guessing. Like, I'm guessing he's I don't know how the jury can find him not guilty. Like, to me, there's a mountain of evidence. This is very, very disturbing audio. That is my warning for this one. This is him leaving messages to Anna that just give you a small glimpse into the type of person he is.
I am the best man you ever met, and you're the dumbest I ever devoted my life to. You are the dumbest. I wish we never had a kid together because of how stupid you are.
Audio messages Ali Abu.
And I think him shaking his head right there, I wonder if that's more about it being played in court than about what he said. He doesn't seem to be displaying any like shame or embarrassment that any of this is being played to me. And at one point he's gonna smile. I'm I'm gonna play it.
Abulaban sent his wife Anna, and the days leading up to her death were full of name calling, cuss words, and references to other women.
She sees the value in me, unlike your dumb. And I can't wait to divorce you so I can start my new life.
At one point, Abulaban
And I wish that he had just divorced her. Like prove it. Do that. Like you move on with your life, but he was so obsessed with her. I don't think he wanted to see her move on with her life. And it's almost like he was able to protect this perfect image or this family image in his mind. Oh, it's very sick.
laughed as they were played. Later on, he appeared uncomfortable, telling his attorney to turn it off. Ricardo Escalante, a former
And like, but even telling his attorney to turn it off, I wonder if he was aware of the cameras because his attorney, the prosecution is the one playing these messages. His attorney can't turn it off.
homicide detective with San Diego police was in charge of analyzing cell phone data as it relates to this case. He testified the examples displayed in court were just a small portion of the disparaging data he found.
There were dozens and dozens of audio messages, texting.
Okay, where's your man? Who's the guy in the gray shirt? What's his name? Since you're a boss and want to be like your girlfriends, tell me who you're seeing. How, oh my gosh. Gosh.
With this general vibe of where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? Vile, disparaging names constantly.
In addition to audio messages, Escalante spoke about Abulaban's internet search history, which included disturbing images.
He's looking up chopped bodies, decapitated head cartel graphic.
Escalante also read text messages and emails exchanged between Abulaban and Anna. Some were sent following incidents of domestic violence.
You were the only one there for me, and I hurt you. I can never forgive myself.
This is the trying to reconcile without changing any behavior. And this is complete manipulation. And once again, my heart truly breaks. The reason why I cover these things, and we are going to talk about malignant narcissism, and then also some examples of somebody that left, um, that was able to safely get out of a relationship like that. Somebody mentioned the Cassie case earlier, and I did watch the video. So there's a video that's been released of Diddy in a hallway. Cassie Ventura was trying to leave. It was allegedly after a incident, of likely a physical incident, and in the hallway, he 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 is extremely physically aggressive towards her. And the thing that really broke my heart there is a submission trauma response. There is a trauma response where you just freeze and you're just trying to survive it. And for any survivor out there, that is like an automatic response because and seeing that she is just trying to make it out of this situation alive. That's all that Cassie is doing. And I'm so grateful that she's still here, so grateful that she was able to leave, so grateful that she had the power and the like that she did leave that situation and that she did come back and sue him and make public all the things that had happened. That video, cuz you just see her just lay there because what can she do in that moment? I think she was incredibly brave, and however a person leaves, sometimes they have to leave quietly, and that's what the last video that I share, that's what that video is going to get into, because it is extremely dangerous to leave someone like this, and you often need a safety plan, and, sometimes protective orders aren't enough. She did what she could. She didn't know that he had a copy of the key card. She didn't know about the listening app. She didn't know about any of those things, and, Anna, I switched back to talking about Anna's case. Ah, Micah, yeah, so I haven't talked about this case. Micah Miller is a case out of South Carolina. She was a pastor's wife. She had her history of depression. She had a history of struggling with thoughts of unaliving herself, and one former attempt, because I saw a video where she was speaking in Africa, where she talked with the kids about a previous attempt where the weapon had jammed, and once she tried to leave her husband, he allegedly released a topless photo of her, but he did enough to it for it to not be criminal. So it was posted on a Facebook group, and all the things he did to me, he was incredibly antagonistic, and my heart breaks seeing her purchase that weapon because there seems to be this sense of happiness and relief for her, and she said she was purchasing it to protect herself from like that it was because she needed protection. So there is video of her purchasing the weapon. I do believe the family still wants this investigated. um in some states, you can sue civilly or you can be found criminally responsible if you engage in behavior that triggers somebody unaliving themselves. I think in Florida, because that whole thing came up with Beata in the Maya K case. And that and I have old videos. That is a very, very old case that I covered. If you have no clue about it, just know a person was in a hopeless situation. They felt there was no way out, and a jury found a hospital system responsible for financially for damages after somebody unalived themselves. Maya Kowalski. It was a very, very heartbreaking case. Aw, you named your puppy Maya. Aw, that's super sweet. Um, oh, wow, LA. So you mentioned when you left your husband with your child in 2014, you planned to safely disappear with the help of the YMCA and a shelter. He is deceased, and in a way that was absolutely like that was what was best for, well, and that's so LA, I'm glad that you and your child are safe. Um and that's where sometimes people do need to reach out to a domestic violence shelter. Sometimes you do have to get to a safe place. In this case, it's just he seemed to be obsessed with violence, and obsessed with some of these themes. And so it would have been very hard for her to get out safely because all of his aggression was directed towards her. And that's where my video with Dr. Ramani, it's talking about malignant narcissists as parents. And so we'll dig a little bit deeper into that part in just a little bit. So these are the messages, and it's a little bit more of the same. I have the full links to all the videos that I'm sharing down in the description. If anybody would like to see them without my commentary, that's for the replay crew. That's not for the people who are here live. All right, let's go on ahead. Uh, so this testimony, this is actual testimony from court of a friend of Anna's, and then the woman that Ali was with like a few days before this incident.
She was very concerned.
Claire Benneman fought back tears as she talked about her friend Anna Abulaban. She says Anna's husband Ali verbally and physically abused Anna on multiple occasions.
There were some instances where I would see that Anna would have bruises around her face.
She says at one point Anna and her daughter moved in with her, but Anna kept trying to make things work to keep the family together.
And she would try to talk to Ali, either to calm him down.
And that is incredibly common. And as a psychologist, what I will tell you, because sometimes people are like, I don't want my child to grow up without their father. Or sometimes the other person might make threats of self harm, or they might make certain statements and threats. And sometimes people feel like it's easier if we just stay a family, because then we don't have to worry about visitation and custody and all of these other issues. And in this process, so in my opinion, Ali had beat at her self-esteem and self-worth, and just oh, probably like I just the emotional and just mental harm that the evidence seems to show happened. All of those things, I think, made it incredibly difficult for her to leave, and she did. She did try, and I think she did all that she could have done.
Just be there for him.
Prosecutors say it was during that time when Anna was away that Ali met Ashley Sanchez in his apartment elevator. She was crying from a fight with a former boyfriend.
He invited me over, said he had like wine and if I wanted to talk more about it.
Ashley says Ali quickly turned the conversation to his problems, saying his wife had left him. She also said Ali let her know that he was a famous TikToker.
And this is exactly what somebody with narcissistic traits does. Like, so he saw her and emotional and kind of like, oh, like she had just broken up with somebody, and like, and he was upset because his wife, but then he quickly turned the conversation to being about him and showing her how many followers he has.
Named Jin Kidd.
He kept showing me his TikToks. And I was like, what? Like, because it was just funny to me.
Ashley says she was there for a couple hours. They drank, did drugs, and had sex. She says it wasn't until she was leaving that she realized Anna had just walked out on him the night before.
And the fact that he's so upset over her possibly moving on, despite him actually like being with somebody else. And that's where sometimes individuals with narcissistic traits, they will project their own stuff onto somebody else. So they're the ones that are actually cheating, but they're paranoid about what the other person is doing. And this is where, with all of the things I've seen, I don't think that this was just substance induced paranoia or anything like that. Like, he seems to have this long history and pattern of this type of behavior based on what I've seen.
Prosecutors say Ali told Anna about the affair. Anna called Ashley, who shared part of the conversation in court.
She was just telling me that, like, you know, they were already in the process of splitting, but this was what she needed to hear. And that she was going to kick him out the apartment and leave him. I encouraged it. I was like, yeah, you go, girl.
I don't think he liked hearing that part. I'm glad that she said it. I'm glad she kind of laughed at him when talking about his TikTok. I wish they had panned to him when she, because I think she thought it was a joke. Like, I think she was just like, I don't think she cared. I don't think she cared.
He sucks.
A month later, on October 21st, prosecutors say Ali killed Anna and a male friend, Ray Barron, during a jealous rage. He's now.
All right. So I think I've played all the rest of that part. Good. Yes. Let me know your questions if you all have any. Now we are moving on to the great Dr. Ramani. I have a link to this full video down in the description. And she is an expert in both treating and assessing for the effects of narcissistic abuse, and is truly like an expert in this field. She has a book, It's Not You, and I have that one linked in my Amazon under self-help, or you can just search Amazon for her name and her book will pop right up if anyone needs a resource.
Now, with the malignant narcissist, this is a whole different game. Malignant narcissists are much more menacing. They can also be quite exploitative, more manipulative, more prone to lying, and may even be almost paranoid or even sadistic in the kinds of actions they engage in. A divorce from a malignant narcissist can often be really unsettling. Malignant narcissists can also be quite cold as parents, almost kind of scary parents, and children may actually be quite a bit more anxious with them. In this form of narcissism, we will see that these are parents that are often more concerned with power, control, and dominance, and will bring these expectations and these styles into parenting. In fact, the malignant narcissistic parent may not be that interested in being a parent, but may be more apt to attempt to use the courts and processes of custody and all this stuff to punish you by manipulating custody and financial arrangements, and just keep playing games with that, but constantly adjusting and drawing you back in to sort of courtroom situations. If you were raised by a malignant narcissist, you may still experience symptoms that feel more in line with post-traumatic stress as an adult, and you may still feel quite activated, triggered, and on edge, and may still find it difficult to feel safe in adult relationships or have chosen adult relationships that aren't safe. If you are trying to co-parent with a malignant narcissist, I can tell you right now, you are exhausted. You are exhausted by what was very likely a terrifying divorce process. You're exhausted and fearful of leaving the children with their co-parent, since malignant narcissists can often be quite impulsive and careless. So they may not lock things properly or make things that are fully safe for the children. You may be fearful of the menace and the threats that they still hold over you. And you may remain concerned that because you may still have contact with the malignant narcissist through the children, how much more psychological harm they can continue to enact. The covert narcissist, which is a style and a subtype.
So when we talked about Christopher Greger, so I have a video where I played a portion of this video from Dr. Ramani. She talks about a self-righteous narcissist, and this is the one that is very particular. Okay, so I do not believe that in this case, Ali, I don't believe he was a self-righteous narcissist. Let's listen to this part and think about Mr. Greger.
The self-righteous,
not the Christopher Greger.
Just narcissists are the ones who derive their narcissistic validation and supply by sort of holding themselves up as a morally superior person, and will be more focused on doing things just so rather than from a more flexible place of the heart, which is what you need with kids. Everything can't just go off on militaristic precision. Self-righteous narcissists can actually be a bit confusing because they often look quite loyal. They may be, for example, the pillars of a religious community, following the religious edicts to the letter of the law. They may be really into following rules. They may have a very black and white sense of right and wrong. This type of narcissistic pattern, we can also see these are folks who are very judgmental, and they can be critical of other people. They criticize everything. They could criticize other people's work ethic. They criticize their lifestyles. They criticize their jobs. They criticize their houses. They criticize their behaviors. There's a tremendous rigidity to them. And all of us feel like a 10-year-old child in the face of their scoldy, judgmental, and rigid ways of being. For a child, this is a very strict and limiting childhood in many cases. Self-righteous parents are often quite rigid, punitive, judgmental, and the child is raised with a strong sense of conditionality, a sense of that you have to follow the rules to be loved. Self-righteous narcissistic parents are often quite authoritarian as well. Children raised like this often believe that this kind of parent values the rules of order more than they actually value the child. And into adulthood, that kind of rigid, cold, and choosing morality over love and being there for your child can result in some self-devaluation. If you had this kind of parent, you had what might have felt like more of a militaristic or ridiculously strict and judgmental childhood.
So that I think fit more of what we've seen just based on what's available with Christopher Gregor. And looking at these different types of parenting styles, to me, this one seemed to fit more because this also, the co parenting part, they are really particular and will get very upset if any rule is broken. So if you're late for drop off or anything like that, they will really get upset about that. And financially, they will argue over the smallest thing because let's say you have to split the copay. Well, they might refuse to split the copay because they didn't agree that the child needed the appointment or something like that. And so in my opinion, this style, I don't think that he was, because to me, he doesn't initially come off as narcissistic, in my opinion, Christopher Gregor. Yes. So in my opinion, he doesn't initially come off that way until you kind of dig a little deeper. I saw the police video with him, and so I think that was more about control, and I don't think he thought anyone was watching. I don't think he would have done that if he knew someone else was there, and I think that was his way of punishing mom. Because if you remember that the treadmill incident that is on tape, that happened immediately following, um, that happened immediately after, um, uh, Brianna had dropped Corey off late. But that's like she ran into traffic. Like it was a completely reasonable reason to be late, but in my opinion, he wasn't a particularly reasonable person, like just based on what we've seen and what we've heard and his response to her. He was just incredibly controlling. So I did see Dr. G explains he went over the police not interrogation, the police when Christopher Gregor was arrested, not arrested, when his car and phone were seized. So when he was stopped in Tennessee and his car and phone were seized, and he just out of the blue mentions the fact that he's a football player, like he played football and he thinks he might have CTE. I wonder if the football and CTE thing is going to come up. I don't think football or any type of brain issue has anything to do with anything that happened. He brought up the fact that he might have difficulty remembering some things because he played football, and yeah. And so Dr. G explains did a really good video on that one. Back to the Ali case. I want to end with this part. Let's talk about leaving. And this is, I'm going to share just a little bit of this um, video where she's talking about escaping a harmful relationship and how she did it. So let's play this part. So how do guys like this end up with good women? And they're not bad all the time. And at the beginning of the relationship, it's often love bombing. They're often like angelically good, like an angel from heaven. Like they're often very, very good at the beginning, but it is all a mask to get the person to attach very, very quickly. And then you start to see the other side of them, and the other side comes out slowly. Like it's often not their the whole monster all at once. They normally turn up the heat slowly. It often goes up very, very slowly. And the example that I think about is like how to cook a frog, because frogs can jump out of the pot. But what you do is you put them in lukewarm water, and then you just slowly, and I don't eat frogs, okay? But like this is how you, if you were going to eat a frog, this is what you do. You slowly turn up the temperature over time, and the person doesn't even realize it. And the amount of emotional manipulation, where it's like, often people in this situation, they don't know the word love bombing. They don't know gaslighting. They don't know that, like, about smear campaigns. They don't know some of this language, which is why I think it's really important to talk about it. And that's why I cover these cases. So proud of that therapist. Just parenting for a moment. We're good. All right, good. I'm so proud of that therapist for not, because you can't do couples therapy if it's not a safe relationship. If there's current harm happening, we can't work together as a couple. Y'all need to work individually. So I'm really glad that that person kind of saw some of the signs and some of the issues, and she doesn't go into how much she was able to share with the marriage therapist. Often marriage therapists, they will meet with the couple together and then the individuals in the relationship separately. If you were going to disclose something, I would make it very clear of like, what do you share with my partner? What are you writing down? I'm really concerned about safety in this relationship. Like sometimes you need to have that conversation before disclosing your truth. But if you are in any type of couples therapy and if the relationship is not safe, uh, any good therapist is going to stop and say, we can't do this work together, because like it that you have to have a safe relationship first. It's just the thing. And so the fact that she was using cash, the way that she was going to leave, she started using cash, which is very, very smart. And so there was a great question. So how would I handle it if I was doing couples counseling and realized that somebody was being harmed? I don't do couples work. Whoopsie. So I only work with individuals, families, children, and teens. So I do not work with couples. Um, if I'm working with an individual that's in an unsafe relationship, I give them resources and tools. I have worked with people that, due to finances, due to various situations, they were not able to fully leave, and so I connected them with different resources, with different avenues. I've also worked with individuals where the emotional things you seem to escalate right around our therapy session. So it seemed like on the day before therapy or the day of therapy, there always seemed to be major escalations that happened. I've had that happen multiple times, where clients have had to take a look at, is, can I continue? And that's where I end up giving them like resources, I give them supports. And that's where maybe doing something like, even though I don't love BetterHelp, but maybe doing something that's more of an app subscription thing might be more helpful for the individual, or something they can do that's not on the insurance. Because if it's a married couple and they're on the insurance together, if I bill a claim, either like, and if the insurance policy is under the other partner, they don't know exactly what we're doing, but they can see that their partner attended a therapy session based on the explanation of benefits. So that's where some people pay cash for services, because then there isn't that record that goes back to insurance. I've seen people do that, but anytime somebody is in a very controlling, unsafe relationship, I take a stance where that individual, my client, if they're the one in the unsafe relationship, they have to decide to leave. I don't work with perpetrators, so I don't work with people that are the harmful one unless it's due to personality traits. And if they need emotion regulation skills, distress tolerance, I would probably still recommend some type of additional, like anger. I would probably recommend some additional services or supports for the individual. But that is the type of work that I do. All right. That she was able to lean on the support and strength of others, and she was the one that still had to leave, and yet she also leaned on the support and strength of people that loved and cared about her and in her life. And I'm sure she might have had to get over some guilt of not telling people sooner, but to me, like, whenever you get whenever you have it to leave and do it, please do it. And for every person, it can look a little different. And sometimes it's harder to leave somebody that's financially, spiritually, and emotionally harmful, and there isn't physical. Like, sometimes with physical, I have a bruise, I have a mark, I have a hospital bill. But with emotional, financial, spiritual, sometimes it's harder to escape those, because nobody can see what's happening. And that's where, if the person does leave voicemails, if there are recordings, in my opinion, I would save those things. Um, Keep them in a safe place, just in case you ever do need court involvement, or just in case you ever need to use that in the future. All right, let's go. I've worked with a lot of people that have decided not to press charges. They've decided not to get a protective order. And that's where each individual person has to do what works for them. And I'm so thankful that she's sharing this. I also think that male victims of DV, because we have seen that with the Courtney Clenny case. That's the OnlyFans model, OnlyFans, I think model. She is charged with unaliving her boyfriend, and in seeing the videos, there seems to have been some emotional and physical back and forth in that relationship. And the things that have been released so far seem to paint her as the aggressor. And the victim in that case, his family says that, he was not harmful towards her. Her parents are facing court because they figured out the password with her help to his computer, and so it's like unauthorized use of a computer, or it's some charge like that. And with the police, so there are the global majority. I like saying it that way. The global majority. Sometimes people have different experiences with police. Not everybody finds the police as a source of comfort. There have been individuals, especially um, s- so like when Courtney Clenny called the police on her black boyfriend, who's like this tall, like this like big guy, if she were to allege that he did something, um, unless it was on video, in my opinion, the system is built to be more likely to believe what she said. Thankfully, we have elevator videos, we have a lot of different videos that show her being aggressive towards him. And her explanation of like throwing the weapon, like her explanation of what happened doesn't seem to match what happened. And so this is a safe place for all communities. Yes, and it was her very first Instagram post. That's my understanding. Her post where she talked about her story, and now she shares the stories of other women online. And this video is from a year ago, and her name is spelled because it's Layla, but it's Lejla. And I do have the link to this whole video down below, and they have different resources in this book. I'm sorry, in this book, in this video. All right. Do y'all have any other questions for me? Thank y'all so much for being here. I am thankful when y'all give recommendations for different video topics or different video ideas. Uh, she probably, when she sent the letter, I'm guessing she stopped communication, and I'm guessing she got safe, and he probably didn't know where she went. That's my thought. In the UK, there is a charge for you can for coercive control is a charge. I don't think we have a charge like that in the US. Emotional harm is incredibly hard to prove, and sometimes the police and people sometimes people are less responsive if there isn't a physical mark. But to me, emotional harm is very, very damaging. So, different books that I would recommend for healing. Let me go to my Amazon. So, I definitely love It's Not You by Dr. Ramani. So let me share my screen. Share screen. Let's do this one. So It's Not You, Identifying and Healing. If people have experienced this type of antagonistic harm, because the individual breaks you down so much that it's really easy to think that it was you. And Dr. Ramani is a clinical psychologist, an expert in this field. And so I really like that book. Let's see. She also has a book, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Let me go to let me see if I can find it. Shop. I'm gonna try to find my shop. Okay, I'm gonna try to find it. Amazon. Yes, I found it. Oh, y'all got to see everything I was searching for. I'm glad nothing weird popped up. Dr. Ramani is absolutely amazing. So it's my understanding, based on the beginning of that video, coercive control was identified as something that was on a charge. So self-help books, I might have to break these down more. I might have to do like a trauma list, because there are 73 books here, which might be too many. Loving You is Hurting Me by Dr. Copley. She is on Instagram as well. I was able to hear her talk. A new approach to healing trauma bonds and creating authentic connection. Um, and so sometimes a relationship is dysfunctional, but it's not unsafe. So sometimes in a relationship, both partners can be in a state of healing, but it's still safe, but it's just dysfunctional. And so Loving You is Hurting Me. This is a book for people that are healing, even if they're still trying to navigate a relationship. As long as the person is willing to like work on it and change their behavior. She lists out the criteria for why somebody might not be a good fit for this. Dr. Craig is another expert in the field of healing from narcissistic abuse. I think he talked about his own experience of being raised by narcissistic parents, and Dr. Ramani talks about her experience as well. And looking at healing generational trauma, Dr. Marielle Burkett we are mutuals over on Instagram and TikTok, I want to say. I believe on both. She is phenomenal. And I think she's went on a few podcasts if people prefer YouTube. So I think that's a really good one. Boundaries Where You End and I Begin is a great resource. And so I have a whole list of just resources and recovery tools. And what it does is it lets people pick out what might be the right fit for them. And if somebody, let's say they're just at a place where they just want to start with setting some boundaries, Nedra's book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace, is a phenomenal resource, I think. And so, all right. So that link is right in my, like, it's over on YouTube. It's on my YouTube. And you all can see all that there. Dr. Tracy said something and I wanted to see because I think I missed it. So Dr. Tracy, thank you for sharing your story. It's very powerful. I agree the US needs to do better about especially emotional harm. It's really hard to prove, but I think if people have those types of recordings, I wish she could have got some type of protective order with just his aggressive messaging. It's very, very problematic. Very, very problematic. Thank y'all again for joining. I go live on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Every now and then something major will come up. Aw. Lisa, I forgot to mention one. It is on the list. I should move it back up to the top. So my book is Turning Crisis into Clarity. That's me. How to Survive or Thrive in the Midst of Uncertainty. This is more of a general resource. So it's not about specifically healing narcissistic abuse, or it's not about that specifically, but this is more about just healing from coming out of a stressful event. I wrote this during COVID, and it was about turning that crisis and finding clarity in the midst of all of that just ugh. And so that's why I wrote the book and I'm really excited about it. I might start working on a second one, and that's where y'all might help me narrow down what topic. If there's an area where there's a gap, I'm thinking it might be in parenting. I'm thinking the next one might be something with parenting, especially for the cycle breakers, people looking to parent differently. I think that might be the next book, but and I will be bringing Mama back on in June. So my mom and I did a live because I talk a lot about healing my own so I didn't I from my mom, I didn't have uh so technically, based on the ACEs, the Adverse Childhood Experiences scale or study, I think I have an ACE of 2, maybe. I think it's 2, 3, right? Because parents divorced, physical discipline. I think I might have an ACEs of 2 or 3. And with that, being being able to heal some of that, I think a lot of my people pleasing and having to heal from just being able to set boundaries with others and recover from a lot of that. I'm glad that she lets me speak openly about my experience and what's helped me. And she's able to hear it and not take it personally. The same way when my child, so no parent's perfect, and parents don't have to get it right. I just have to apologize. I just have to, if I see a gap, be willing to put my child in therapy to have accept and receive additional support. And so Mama Johnny is super awesome. So yes, so y'all have heard it here first. This will probably be a summer project. It'll probably take me like 6 to 8 months to do, but it's doable. I definitely think talking about parenting differently, especially for those cycle breakers. I think that is going to be the next book. But thank y'all again for coming and for staying till the end. If you haven't liked the video, please just do all the YouTubey things. If you like content just like this, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.